members of the subcommittee. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for the kind remarks you made about Charleston Animal Society at the previous hearing and then at today's hearing as well.
And you're a no-kill shelter.
We're a no-kill community. Senator, I'd like to point out that we're all in the same boat together. There's no such thing as a no-kill singular organization in a community that is not no-kill. And that's one of the misunderstandings about the animal welfare world is we're in this as a community together. And one of my, and let me say, I am the Chief Executive Officer of Charleston Animal Society. I live on Johns Island, South Carolina. Johns Island, South Carolina has about 20,000 residents, and it has 5 veterinary clinics within a 4.2 mile extension corridor, if you will. That island cannot support that many veterinarians. But what I want to do is state my opposition to this bill. And one of the reasons Senator McElveen mentioned this with the case up in Sumter and everything. And Senator Campbell, you and I know each other. We're neighbors. You direct the airport. The Animal Society is next door to the airport. You're an engineer by training. I'm an engineer by training. So I think we think alike. But regardless of that, is that in our community, if there was somebody parking a mobile vet clinic directly across the street from a privately owned veterinary practice, I think that person would reach out to Charleston Animal Society, to me, our leadership, or to another animal organization, whoever was doing that. I'll give my good friend, Senator Campbell, a call, and I think we'd get the parties together and we'd work it out without creating a law. That's the way we do things in Charleston. Charleston Animal Society is this. Yes, sir, Senator McElveen.
I'm going to respond to that because both these veterinarians that have told me that are very reputable people and very pragmatic and reasonable people. It's an out of town organization that's coming to doing that, and I have heard since this bill has been filed, the person running that clinic has said, if that's going on, call me and let me know, and I'll stop it. I understand that, but I mean we're reasonable in Sumter. We do things. We work pretty well together in Sumter also, but we're not talking about a Sumter person coming and doing it. We're talking about somebody.
And I certainly, please, Senator, don't think that I'm critical of residents of Sumter or anything like that. But what I'll commit to you today is if that organization is out of town, I will commit my time to get involved and put every bit of my influence that I have, and anything that I can leverage with that animal organization or with that veterinarian to resolve that. The leverage that I have is that we're the first animal organization in this state. We have built the first no-kill community in the Southeast. It's a community, not shelter, and we're one of the oldest animal organizations in the United States. And I commit to you that I will get involved and I will try to mediate that situation and leverage my colleagues and my counterparts to come up with a reasonable solution. The Animal Society was established in 1874 by a group of Charlestonians led by Nathaniel Russell Middleton, representing families who were very prominent in building this great state and also this nation. And because I've interrupted some of my remarks, I'm going to move on. Today we have an active constituency of over 50,000 people. Today I have 650 animals in the sheltering system. The facility itself can only hold 230, and we rely on these foster families, a vast network of foster families, to save these animals. If this bill were law today, I could only provide veterinary services to animals that the Animal Society owns and are holding for adoption. Right now is what we term in the animal welfare field as kitten season. Hundreds of neonate kittens coming through our doors as stray animals. By South Carolina law, current law, those animals belong to the state, not to the Animal Society. And I would be prevented from providing veterinary services to them because I do not own them. I, meaning Charleston Animal Society. The bill in its present form demonstrates a profound misunderstanding of the animal welfare field. You have animal control, animal care, animal rescue, animal sanctuaries, veterinary care, and animal cruelty. Each one is unique in its own operational paradigm, but also they're interconnected. And that's the complexity of animal welfare. Last year, Charleston Animal Society provided care to 20,000 animals. 20,000 animals. Those involve every kind of animal you can think of. Cats, dogs, primarily. Livestock, horses, reptiles, birds, you name it, we've done it. And as I mentioned earlier, right now, today, if this bill were law, I would have to call down to Charleston Animal Society and cease the treatment of 300 animals in our system because we do not own those animals. So it's those types of flaws within this legislation as it's currently written that we need to address. Because I know neither side on this issue wants those repercussions and those consequences to happen. There's another point in the law that also is written about public spay-neuter, and then it contradicts itself because it says pursuant to section 47-3-480, which applies to spay-neuter of shelter-owned animals. So there's a contradiction right there in the bill itself. As disturbing as all of that is, this 7-mile buffer, and I really sincerely believe the subcommittee, or I don't think anyone is really committed to that 7-mile buffer and everything. But what that will do is that will prevent us from actually offering services to individuals who are indigent, don't have transportation, that might be 4 miles from a veterinary clinic. What that would do is it would kill our Pets for Life program in the Chicora Cherokee neighborhood of North Charleston.
We're not tied to that number, as you know. Joe, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Mhm.
But you heard the first veterinarian, the lady that spoke, Miss Lily Bear, I think, was that spoken? And you heard about some of the issues she has in animals being brought to her where there are no medical records,
Mhm.
where there's no tracking of the medication. She knows not what that animal is treated with. Or in one case, the rabies, it was probably misinformation. Does your clinic, and I think it does you provide full medical records on adoption so that the ultimate owner knows exactly how the animal's been treated? So if they take it to a private vet, there's a track.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not only ours, but many organizations across the state. A couple of these examples that the previous speaker mentioned were already addressed in the Veterinary Practice Act. Practicing veterinary medicine without a license in South Carolina is against the law. That's factual. That's a fact. If it needs more stringent enforcement, let's do it. Let's enforce it. And I've also committed to you, Senator Campbell, and to you, Senator Corbin, on yesterday, as recently as yesterday, that any of these organizations that are abusing, or any organization that are abusing, whether it's a privately owned practice or a nonprofit organization, their privileges and rights to providing animal care, please call me. I will give you 100% of my energy, and I'll lead the charge to bust them, because that's what we need. I have the same commitment to that as I do to busting animal cruelty. Let me just say personally how this would affect me, and I know this is not what the intention and the spirit of this legislation is, but this thing about low income and falling below the federal poverty level. Well, the federal poverty level for a single person is $11,770. If you look at that as a full-time job, that's not even minimum wage. It's $5.65 an hour. Let me tell you just, I've told you about Charleston Animal Society. Let me tell you about personally how this impacts me and my family. I live in the low country. I've lived in the low country for a long time. I'm from South Carolina. Both of my sisters are retired school teachers in the Greenville-Spartanburg County area. There's no more noble profession than teaching in our public schools. Both of them taught for 30 years, retired, and went back to teach based on their commitment to children in our state, improving our state, and to make ends meet. I, like a lot of people in this room, will soon be facing that dilemma of what do I do with my aging parents? What do I do with my aging parents? Is it assisted living? If it's in-home health care, I've got to plan for that. My sisters have multiple animals. I have 5 animals. It's expensive. Ms. Willis talked about some of her veterinarian bills. I can manage my veterinary bills, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be very, very hard when I'm also providing care to my parents in their elderly years. All of my grandparents lived into their 90s. I expect my parents to also. I'm lucky and fortunate in that regard. But we should not have to be forced to make a decision of, I can't afford veterinary care because I have the additional cost to take care of my family and my parents. That's how this affects me as a South Carolinian. Lastly, and I'm sure my time is winding up, Senator Campbell, I want to remind everybody that many of the animal organizations on this side have offered an amendment for someone to sponsor, for one of the distinguished members of this committee to sponsor. Enough is enough. We can do this. We agree, and we lead the charge on every quality of care issue addressed. Limiting the scope of services for the nonprofits is going to have a detrimental effect a harmful effect on animals in the state. I can guarantee you, I just gave you an example of how it would impact 300 animals. It'll have an impact on every class of citizen in South Carolina. Carolina, not only the middle class. And it will have a negative impact on charities themselves. I'll tell you this, Low Country Giving Day, which occurred nationwide back on May 5th, some of you may be familiar with that. South Carolina ranked number 2 nationwide. Charleston Animal Society was in the top 10. We have one of the most charitable states in the nation. South Carolinians do not want to have a negative impact on charities. With that, I would just urge the senators and members of this committee, hear us. Hear your brothers and sisters, your family and friends out here who may be financially struggling, but not be below the federal poverty level.
Thank you.
Here, South Carolina.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think we have a question.
Yes, sir.